Hi everybody, this video is going to show you how filter groups work and help you get it installed and configured. Okay, we're going to start by talking about what filter groups actually are. There are two components to filter groups. The first is the filtering of the main calendar. Now you can see we have had traditionally categories and tags as our filtering options. Now with filter groups, we have the ability to create additional filtering options. Now why is that important? Well, categories is just simply too small a container for all of the different types of filters that people need. So for example, if I were to try to group in my categories the neighborhoods that events were happening, the type of event that was going on, the age groups for the events, and so on and so on, it becomes a massive collection of filters, of options, with no way to sort them out. So what you need to understand first is that filter groups are like categories in that they take your categories and spread them across multiple different groups to make it easier for users to find the events they need. So let's see what that looks like in practice. So first of all, you have now this additional filtering option here. So I've created one called neighborhoods, and then in that group, neighborhoods, I created one neighborhood called Danforth. And if I selected that, it would show me all of the events happening in Danforth. Now, I can still filter by additional categories, and so if I wanted to find all the jazz events happening in the Danforth, I can still do that. So there's essentially 2 jazz events happening in the Danforth. Now, that's one use of the filter groups, the menu across the top, the filtering menu across the top. The second is filter groups gives you the option of creating new sidebar widgets. So I'm going to click over here to show you an example of what that looks like. You'll see over here on the right side, I've got a filter group again called neighborhoods, and in that we have the one filter, one category in neighborhoods called Danforth, and then here shows you the next upcoming event happening in that neighborhood. So that gives you a sense of what filter groups are meant to do. Now I'm going to show you how they actually work. To start, let's look at the back end. So here's all of our events. I'm going to go down here to this new option that you have called custom filters. Now you'll have that option if you've installed the filter groups plugin. So you got to make sure that the filter groups plugin has been installed, and that comes with your hub package. So I'm going to click on custom filters. So we've got one called neighborhoods. I'm going to create another one called age groups. And then I can choose an icon to go with that. I'm not sure actually what icon might be appropriate. Maybe I'll choose one of people. There we go. And add that filter group called age groups. So now we have 2 filter groups, and you'll see now over here on the left side a new group appears, a new taxonomy appears here under neighborhoods called age groups. So now we've got event categories, tags, neighborhoods, and age groups. So that's how you create the group. Now we want to create the filters inside the groups. I'm going to create another one in neighborhoods. So we've got the Danforth. I'm going to create a new neighborhood called the Annex. Then I'm going to upload an image for the Annex. Here we go. I'm going to select it. I'm going to choose that image. And if I want, I'll put a description. But to be honest, I don't have a good idea of a description right now, so I'll skip that. And I'll click to add my new neighborhood. Now I've got 2 neighborhoods in my group, the Annex and Danforth. The next thing I want to do is assign some events to those neighborhoods. So I'm going to scroll down, and I'm going to choose all of these events here. I'm going to bulk edit them. I'm going to click edit, apply, and I'm going to choose, you see now I have neighborhoods here. I'm going to choose, I'm going to choose the Annex as my neighborhood for all of those events. Scroll down, click update, And now if I go to the front page here, hit refresh, I'm going to see that I've got the annex is now an option there, and if I select it, I've got some events. These are all of the events that are happening in the annex. Okay. So you'll also notice over here on the sidebar, the annex also appears as one of my neighborhoods in the widget. So that creates a new sidebar widget. It created the new category and underneath that neighborhoods tab. Now what about age groups? Some of these events, a lot of these events are not suitable for kids, so I want to make sure that I can sort by the events that are good for kids, some for adults, and so on. So I'm going to go into my age groups filter group here, and I'm going to create a new group called toddlers. Now unfortunately I don't have an image to go with toddlers. I should have prepared something, but I don't, so I'm going to create a new group there. I'm going to create one called preteen. Actually, okay. Those are my groups. Now I'm going to assign some events to it. So let's choose all of these events that I've just selected. I'm going to edit. I'm going to choose that these are all adult events. And then I'm going to go to the next page. I'll select all of those events as, let's say, teenager events. Okay. So if we go to the calendar now, you see age groups is now there, and I've got two categories, adults and teenagers. I select adults. Those show me all of the adult events. And again, I can then even show me all of the adult events happening in the Danforth. And actually, they're all of the same. I selected the same group, but you get the idea. Or I can choose just the teenager events. So now the teenager events are selected, and so those are all the teenager events. Okay? So that's how I've created a new filter group and added filters to it. Now if I wanted to create a new sidebar widget, I go over here, go over into my appearances, widgets, and you'll see I've got this one already. This is for my filter groups for neighborhoods. I'm going to now create one for age groups. I'm going to call it age groups. And then I'm going to do the same thing as I said here. What's happening next is the phrase I'm going to use. And the filter group that I'm using is age groups. And I'm going to save it. Now keep in mind, I didn't create images for each age group, so it's not going to look quite as good, but we'll see what it looks like. Hit refresh here. And there you go. You see we've now got age groups, and there's teenagers with the next upcoming event for teenagers, and then adults with the next upcoming event for adults. Now, this is going to show, these sidebar widgets are going to show you every neighborhood here in the sidebar that you have, every age group that you've got that has events. Now, I should explain, the reason why we only have adults and teenagers, the only two groups here, is because those are the only two that have events. We're not showing you or showing the user options that don't have any events. It just upsets them when they click on something and nothing happens. So there have to be events for those new filters that you've just created to show. And the same thing with the sidebar widget. Only the filters that have events will be showing in the sidebar widget. However, let's say you want to make some changes to how the sidebar widget functions. For example, which events it shows, or what it looks like. Well, to do some of those deeper level customizations, you're going to need to be able to edit the CSS. Now this is where a developer might come in, but I just want you to know it is quite possible to do a lot of design customization of your sidebar widgets, your menus, pretty much everything. And so to do that, you either edit the theme itself, and by that I mean your WordPress theme, or you create a child theme and edit that. Now I'm going to be doing the changes directly here so you can see it conveniently. This is under Appearance and then Editor, and that allows me to access the theme. Now this is not the way I generally recommend it, or anybody recommends it, because the next time this theme gets updated, all of my changes will be overwritten. So the best thing to do is create a child theme and make the changes there. But if you understand what I'm saying, then you already know that. So you can see here I've made a number of modifications to the image. So here I've changed the thumbnail size of the sidebar widget. So rather than being quite rectangular, I made it a square. Rather than here, the font size of the upcoming event, so of the category I've increased. You've seen I've made this bigger, and I've made this one here smaller. I've made all of those changes in CSS. So just if you need help making deeper level changes, you really want a really great looking set of sidebar widgets, or really any changes to your calendar at all, and you're not a developer, make sure you talk to us and we can help you sort through those issues. Okay, so that's filter groups. I showed you how to create, well, I showed you what filter groups are. I've showed you how to create filter groups. I showed you how to create the filters underneath it, create the sidebar widgets, and then make modifications. Thanks for watching.